It started in 1984 by the North Dakota Association of Oil and Gas and Producing Counties and Coal Conversion Counties. That was the title of us. It got pretty lengthy on our t-shirts trying to describe this. So currently now we are Western Dakota Energy Association, or WDEA. Daryl also had mentioned Wise Roads. We are part of Wise Roads as well. We partner with NDON. The only thing I can tell you about Wise Roads is that I know, Daryl, correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking at a 50th station coming up in the springtime, and we're looking, it's going to be in Oliver County, I think is where they were looking at. I'm not sure if that is 100% accurate, if they're still looking at Oliver County for the 50th state for Wise Roads. Anyways, it started back in 1984. It started in western North Dakota, and it was there to track truck traffic on oil field roads. When it started out, it was on the paper permits, and it was on the honor system. When I say quote unquote, we all know how that works. The industry was supposed to fill out the paper permits before they left, and then they would mail those paper permits into our office. We would enter that information into the database. We would then invoice the industry. Then the industry then would have to pay the counties the fees. Sometimes, like I said, those permits were done before they left the yard. Or it was done when there was lights behind them. They were easy to do. So in 2015, we got rid of the paper permits and everything is electronic now. Next slide. Our LoadPass has an advisory board. They are listed here. They consist of county commissioners, sheriffs, township officers, and road superintendents. Next slide. This right here shows you the counties and the cities that are currently within the LoadPass permitting system. Right now, for today, we have 31 counties and 3 cities. Oliver County, their first day is actually today. They used to be the big white bullseye within the system, but they are joining today as their first day with the permitting system. You can also see, nope, that's okay. There's also interest with Lemoore County and Ransom County down in the south. There is also interested in it. I've talked to Walsh County, Sheridan County. We would like to get Barnes County on because, as you can see, Valley City is on the permitting system, but Barnes is not. The benefit of being part of within the permitting system is that you can see the counties in red. That is a one-stop shop for the industry. They can go online and get their permit for all those counties if they're going to go down into South Dakota, Montana, or Minnesota. They can get one permit. And then the county approves, each county has to approve their section of the permit. You still maintain the control of your roadways as well. So if you are in a white county, the industry may not think that they need to get a permit within your county. So they might just go without, or they don't know who to contact. Next slide. These are the type of permits that we offer. We try to follow the state permitting as well. So we have trip permits, restricted road permits, and excess permits, depending on what your weight is. Next slide. These 4 permits here are for the counties. They can either opt in or opt out, and that is your harvest, wintertime permits. Can you go back? No, that's okay. There you go. Annual over width and frost law permits. Again, like I said, your county can either opt in or opt out of using these permits. All right, next slide. I believe the next 2 slides, this shows what our current fee schedule is. And currently right now we go by gross vehicle weight. However, with that being said, you can go to the next slide and the next slide. We are converting into axle weights. So before we can do that, it will take some time. We have to come up with a calculation for that. So in order to do that, we ask the industry for their axle weight information. So as you can see here, the industry has to put in the weight of each axle, the number of tires, the tire width, track width, and the axle spacing from hub to hub. It is the exact same as what the state is asking for. So it's not anything additional that we're asking compared to a state permit. As they enter in this information, the diagram on the bottom will shift according to what their axle information is. So if it gets to be really long, then they're gonna have to go back and look and see what the information is. So we're collecting this data right now from the industry to help us calculate the axle configuration. Next slide. This graph here shows you the total number of permits that were sold from 2016 to 2022. As you can see, it kind of went up and then it really dropped in 2021. Well, we all know why. There wasn't much movement, and thanks to COVID. But also you can see now that in 2022, by the end, we sold over 82,000 permits. And we are still seeing an incline. So I'm guessing that we're gonna see it jump up again. Next slide. This graph here shows you the fees that were collected and distributed back out to the counties. So all the fees that are collected for the permits, that is distributed back out to the counties. So last year, at the very bottom here, we distributed over $12 million back out to the counties and the cities. Next slide. In 2012, we established what's called the notification system. What that is the counties and the cities can go online, put a notification out on the system, and send it out to subscribers. Anybody can be a subscriber, and what that does is you can get it via email or via text. So you'll get alerted right away when there's a road closure, construction, the big one that's coming up, hopefully sooner than later, because that means it's warming up, is frost laws. So then you can get alerted right away when those frost laws are going to hit the county that you are interested in. Next slide. So if you're not a subscriber, but you want to know if there's any restrictions within a road, what you can do is you can go to LoadPassPermits.com and you can view the restriction list of all the counties and the cities that currently have any road restrictions. With that being said, once that restriction is alerted out to everybody, we go in on our side and we put that restriction onto the map. And I'll explain the map a little bit more of how that works. Next slide. These are the different restrictions and notifications that we are capable of doing right now. We can do your common weight restrictions, size, and multiple. We can do a road closure. And a road closure can be, there's water on the roadway, the road is closed due to construction, and or with McKinsey County, when they had the fires going through the Badlands and stuff, we closed some of their roads due to emergency reasons. So we can close them down for an hour. You know, it doesn't have to be a day's length. It can be, you know, hours too. So we worked with the emergency manager during that time. The blanket restriction is kind of going off of the end-on thing with the rain thing. A few years ago, we all remember all the precipitation that we had received. We can now, what's called a blanket restriction, we can put a restriction on a township, just one township. We don't have to blanket the whole county if it's just occurring just in one township. We can blanket the whole county as well, and we can also do zones. There's a few counties within our system that do zones as well. So we can put a restriction on those roads during that time. And we can inform the industry of any construction that may be coming up as well. Let's say a 2-lane is going down to a 1-lane, so they can still travel on the road, but expect some delays. Next slide. This is the example of the routable map that I was talking about. So as soon as we get those alerts, or the county notifies us, or the city notifies us that there's a restriction, or there's construction down there in McKinsey County, you can kind of see them, sorry. It's like a little road construction hazard sign. But anything in red is a road restriction. And if you click on that, a box will show up and it will tell you exactly what it is. If it's a frost law, if it's year-round. The purple over here, that's MHA. So they wanted us to inform you that we don't permit MHA, but you can contact them to get a permit. You can see Bottineau County up there. They have a lot of red lines. What that's for is they like to have people use their truck routes. So during frost law, this map, she's lit up like a Christmas tree. She's got quite a bit of restrictions on there. Next slide. Some of the enhancements that we did, you can go to the next slide. In 2018, we added the routable map. So what that is, you can see point 1 down there on the bottom into point 2. Their start point, their ending point. What that does is the industry can go in, because a lot of people from the industry, they are not from your county or from your city. So they just have an address. So they can just go in, they can type in an address, it'll give them point 1, and then point 2 for their ending. It will tell them how many miles that they are traveling total, but it will also tell them each mile, how many miles they're traveling on each segment of the road. It will also tell them if they're on a restricted road or a closed road. I'd like to mention the bridges that are on here that you can kind of see, it's a gray circle. Those are state bridges. So we got our information actually from the 911 system way back when, but with the growing of Williams County, Montreal County, and McKinsey County, road networks almost change daily. So the county informs us of that, and then we go ahead and put that information on the map. So I hate to say this, our map is almost better than the 911 map because we try to update that as soon as we can. But yeah, so that just shows you a little bit of how the routing map goes. So with that though, they can also go in and manually route the way that they're going to go, but the problem with that is, A, they don't know how many miles they're gonna be traveling, and do they know about the road restrictions? Because they don't see the map, but it won't tell them how many miles are gonna be on each road. We recently just launched the Law Enforcement Access Portal, also known as LEAP. What that is, law enforcement within the participating counties can log in, go in, if they have someone pulled over, they can check by their license plate number, their VIN number, and see if they have a permit for that road. So they can make sure that they have a valid permit, that it's for that road, section of road. They can see the restrictions that, this one here is from McKinsey County. They can see if there's any restrictions that were just currently sent out. They can also see if there's any rig move permits and any trip permits that go along with that rig move. Next one. The enhancements that we are working on, like I had mentioned before, is converting into axle weight. The next one is the admin side of it. Currently right now when the industry does a permit, that is sent to the county via email. We would like to have that sent out via text as well, because not everybody that approves the permits are actually sitting in the office. They're your road superintendents or your city or sheriffs out there. So we want to make sure that they can have that access as well on their phones. And the end user enhancement is potentially having that GIS system tell them exactly where to go instead of visually seeing your turn by turn. So that pretty much sums up LoadPass Permits in a whole. Is there any questions? So I did my job. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I will be here until after the first break, so if you do think of any questions, please let me know. Thank you.